This is A's Cast Live, your comprehensive look at the Oakland Athletics.
And the pitch is swung on, hit the right field, hit deep. Whitefield going back at the track, over his head, and over the wall. Do you believe that?
And 29 other MLB clubs.
Ramirez with a drive to deep right, away back, goal!
Hey, gets a bomb out there by the Rocks. And boy, oh boy, this third inning is now showtime.
It is a Judgian blast. All rise. Here comes the judge.
Join us as we take you inside the baseball universe, from humidors to spin rates to game-changing moments. We have you covered. Spend your afternoon with us next from the town, only on A's Cast Live. Here's Chris Townsend.
Well, it is an absolute beautiful day here in the East Bay at the Coliseum. It's the start of the Bay Bridge Series, Saturday and Sunday. We honor our great friend Ray Fosse today. And then tomorrow it's going to be all the new A's Hall of Famers. It's going to be just one heck of a weekend. And normally on Fridays, we have the Mark Kotsay Show, brought to you by NestBetting.com. Nest Betting, they have locations here in the Bay Area, or you check them out online. Use the coupon code Oakland to get 10% off your entire order, your bedding, your sheets, your pillows, you name it. Mark Kotsay sleeps on a Nest Betting bed. He absolutely loves it. Let's turn him up, please. He's not up. There you go. No, you still have him on mute, Cody. We can't hear him.
How about now?
User error right there on the Commander. So usually we have you on Friday, and since we had the day off yesterday where we all got to recharge, it was nice. We're doing it here on a Saturday. Got you on video. It's always great to have you. And, you know, I got to think yesterday, a chance for you to sit back and just enjoy a day off and also really enjoy how your ball club's playing.
Yeah, it was a great day. You know, we spoke a little bit. You don't get a Friday off in the big leagues very often. It might have been my first Friday off in 26 plus years.
Ever?
But, yeah. Sometimes you catch a holiday every once in a while off that you don't really expect, a Memorial Day or 4th of July. But Friday afternoon, very relaxing day at home. And then jumped the flight last night to make sure I was here and ready to show up and get to work.
You know, we don't think about it that much, you know, because when we watch you guys, we see you in uniform. We think of you as baseball players and, you know, you're the manager, you got your coaches. But these off days for all of you, even though it's only one day, for you to go from Anaheim to San Diego, wife, kids, it's important to have those connections, you know, during a season. You can't disconnect from the family. You still got to be present as a husband, as a father. And I think fans – we don't think of it that way, but it is really key, especially for you and your players.
Yeah, without a doubt, you know, and as a family, you try to get as much time as you can during the season together, but then you take advantage of the quality time in the off season. You know, you look at our job, and we're grinding for 7.5 months, day in, day out, occasional days off like yesterday. But then when the season's over, you really do get to capture and make up that time and invest in your family and your kids. And so that's kind of the approach I've always taken. You know, in the off season, you get up at 7 a.m, you take the kids to school, you pick them up, you grind, you just get in there, you know, and you got that opportunity to be a part of their lives really full time. And those that are in the working class, those that grind and work 9-to-5 jobs, they miss out on some of that opportunity and some of those days when you get to go at a 3:00 scrimmage and see your kid play a high school football game. I'm going to miss that for the next 6-8 weeks, but eventually you do get to spend a lot of quality time on those 4 months you're off.
I was picking up Willow Glen cheerleaders last night at 9:30 at the Santa Clara Convention Center for cheer camp last night, which was awesome on a Friday night because normally I would be here and not able to do that. So it is those special times. When I think about your message down at spring training, you know, a lot of us could sit back and go, all right, here's Kotsay. It's his first year. He's just, you know, he's talking the talk. He's got to say this kind of stuff. And then who knows, we go out on this journey. You have a ton of losses. You know, you have the June was the worst in franchise history or one of them. And then you're like, Okay, but your message has been true the entire time, no matter what. Whether it's now where you're playing good, 9-5 since the All-Star break, I got since July 4th, last 26 games, you're 15-11, or we go back to that June. Your players, the message has never been lost. You have played hard the entire time, and I'm pretty sure no matter what, from here on out, the same thing's going to happen. I think you got to be proud of yourself, your staff, and your players that no one has deviated from that message.
Well, the players really built this culture, and they believed in it as we left camp. And I've spoken a little bit about, some of the things, the challenges that took place as we became a team, and then the team dynamic changed through the obviously the trades, and how we had to stay focused on what we could control and not what we can't control, and the next man mentality, next man up. And we went through it again here recently with the trade deadline, and losing two of our leaders out of our clubhouse, two impact players in Frankie Montas and Lou Trevino. And these guys have come together really and just moved forward. And, it's tough to see a friendship walk out the door. You're happy for them that they're on their way to a playoff contending team, possibly a World Series contending team. But the message here is just say we're going to prepare to win every day, and we're going to look up at the end of the year and not hang our heads, but be proud of the fight and what we went through and what we've accomplished.
Yeah, whenever it happens, it is very emotional. I mean, we saw it down. You've seen it obviously way more up close, but we got to see down in Mesa. Sean Manaea gets traded. Guys are crying with Sean in the clubhouse. It's very emotional. I mean, you've been through it in your career, and you're now doing it as a skipper. But for you as a guy who's preparing to win every day, whether it was spring training or now, how do those losses of those players affect you?
Yeah, for me, and as you talk about, I lean on a little bit of my personal history in the game and being traded, being released or designated for assignment. And so, I think you have to be able to move forward, like you said, and move on and understand that there's no rearview mirror in this game. You got to just keep going forward and plugging in guys that are now going to have an opportunity to solidify themselves as a number one or as a closer and contribute to this team's success.
Well, one thing is for sure in these next 2 days, and I'm making it very clear, I can't stand them. I grew up not liking the San Francisco Giants. I've never liked the San Francisco Giants. Just the whole Bay Area thing, the way they're treated versus us. I understand the Giants got here in 58 before the A's. You understand it as a player. What is it like, though, for you when you see the Giants as a former A's player, coach, now a manager, Bay Bridge Series? What does it mean?
Well, it's not as deeply rooted as your hatred for sure. I like those guys over there. I mean, they're good guys. But yeah, it goes just back to the fact, like, regardless of who the opponent is, we're going to try to win every day. So, this series, I think we split it over there. Two really good contested games. Hopefully, these games are great games and the A's come out on top. So from that standpoint, growing up a Dodger fan, I wasn't real fond of the Giants as well. So, but obviously it's a little more rooted where you're coming from, Townie.
Well, speaking of a Dodger fan, tough loss, obviously, with the great Vince Scully, who, whether you grew up in Southern California, you grew up a broadcaster, a baseball fan, my God, NFL, all the big calls he had in the NFL. I mean, he did the Masters in golf on CBS.
I was going to say he did golf too, didn't
when
he?
we were kids, You're like, he was like, if people think of Jim Nantz, you're like, no, when we were kids, he was the Masters, right? So obviously for someone like yourself who grew up a Dodger fan, not an easy day.
No, not really. And he, I think, brought a lot of the love of the game out for me in watching baseball. And my greatest memories of Vince Scully lie with how he introduced myself as a major league player, the passion he had, the knowledge and depth he had of not just me as a player, but me as a person, describing a 7-year-old boy riding a BMX bicycle for a national championship, talking about my father, the fact that he was a Los Angeles Police Department motor officer, the stories he told, like he got to know me and my family, and he cared about everyone. Not just, I mean, yes, this is a personal story about me, but you could talk to any baseball player that was maybe a local kid from the Los Angeles area, and he studied you. He knew you.
It's like I get these notes that have like everything about you guys, right? Like Vince Scully had this secret database.
He did.
That he could say, as you said, at 7 years old, growing up in Southern California, he would sell hot dogs on the car. He had like this secret information that nobody else had.
I mean, and Dave Roberts, I saw the clip just in my office a little while ago, but what is it? The 3-word time for Dodger baseball.
Yeah.
I mean, it's awesome. And as an Oakland Athletic fan, you never wanted to hear the greatest line ever. The impossible, the improbable,
whatever. The impossible has become the improbable.
I mean, it was unbelievable. So,
what actually was that? What was it, Cody?
The impossible has happened on something. What was it?
Now the problem.
I have the call of it if you really want to hear it.
I mean, the call's unbelievable.
Yeah,
and that's what I grew up with. So.
Well, we went back and listened to The Catch.
Yeah.
NFC title game. This is the great Dallas Cowboy dynasty, and you're now just seeing for the first time, is this old guy Bill Walsh and this young guy Joe Montana going to work? And I went back and watched it, and because we were little kids when it happened, and he was like, could this be the start of a new dynasty? And he was dead on, right? Because after that catch, the San Francisco 49er dynasty would roll on. Now, as we start to look at your club here, and we're going down the stretch, this is game 108 for you. What exactly do you want to see? Because there's got to be, we've called it the year of discovery. There's got to be some type of stuff that you want to see that you're looking for into next season.
Well, obviously you want to be able to see some progression, some, in the right direction for the young guys. The young guys are here and they're trying to establish themselves. And, you obviously want to see this team continue to, as you talked about, continue to fight, to continue to put their head down and go out and prepare to win every day. The guys down in the bullpen, the younger guys down there, the AJ Pucks, the Zach Jacksons, even Danny Jimenez, even though he's not a young by age, he's still young and experienced. So continue to see growth. I mean, that's the biggest thing for us. We need to continue to improve and continue to see growth in the right direction.
Yeah, not to harp on the trade deadline, but is it nice now that we don't have a waiver wire process? Like, I didn't get to trademark Kotsay, but now I can put him through the waiver wire process. Now that that's come and gone, we don't have to worry about it anymore.
Well, you don't have to worry about it, but then you also would, if there's an opportunity, I was put on the waiver wire. And
probably multiple times,
and
right?
Guess what? I went to the Boston Red Sox and had the greatest run in 2008 I ever had in a playoff run and fell one game short because we lost 3-1 in Game 7 to the Tampa Bay Devil Rays. One game short of making a World Series, which I wouldn't have had that opportunity on the Atlanta Braves because they weren't going to the postseason. So Frank Wren traded me, put me on the waiver wire. Red Sox showed some interest. Boom, I was gone and on a playoff team playing meaningful games in September, and I'm thankful for that. So in one way, it's very helpful that these guys now feel good. They're not going anywhere. On the other end, if you're a veteran player looking to go compete with the possibility of making a playoff run with a team, that chance isn't there anymore unless you just get released. And then now if you get released, there's no guarantee of a team picking you up anymore for those playoff runs. So it's a catch, 22 and whether it's beneficial or whether it's not really.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons why I'm happy for Lou. If anybody needed a reset, it was Lou Trevino, and Lou going to the Yankees now, shave the beard, reset, and hopefully pitch in some meaningful games. Because obviously his numbers here were tough, and it's good to see him get a second chance. So now you got a roster. It's an interesting roster, and you got to get at bats for a lot of guys. I think Dermis is going to be in the game today, and Jonah Bryde's going to be in the game today. How do you start delegating the at bats? I know Elvis is a veteran player, maybe doesn't get as much time here in the second half. How do you start delegating at bats? You want to get Nick Allen in there every day, see what he's got.
Yeah, we do, and that's the difficult task. It's one that I have to manage and be honest with these guys, be upfront with them, and make sure that they understand. We're trying to win as many games. We're also trying to see these guys and evaluate them for our future. So ultimately, I think there's the DH spot. There's some chances to move around and utilize, the matchups to be able to hopefully get guys enough at bats to allow them to build for their future and also, next year.
Quickly, let's end on this. For your starters, and we were talking about this the other day with Dave Stewart about a guy like Paul Blackburn. Even though Blackburn and Cole, they have been in the big leagues and been in Major League Baseball or professional baseball a long time, but really haven't gone, all right, this is 30 starts year after year after year. How do you monitor that as they're kind of learning what a full, true season is like?
Yeah, I'm sure Stu talked about it, and that's one thing we're looking at right now with these young starters is where they're at in their innings pitched, where their velos are at right now. That's important to track, and then how they're holding up physically, their bodies, and we can tell that now in the weight room with the strength coaches. We can monitor that, and going forward, we're really going to pay attention to it. And we may look at ways to give them an opportunity to have maybe an extra day rest or lighten their workload to a certain extent. But ultimately, we haven't gotten to that point yet. But as you talk about, we have to stay on top of it and continually evaluate it.
Last 20 games, 31 home runs, 69 extra base hits. It's been a lot of fun to watch. Thank you for your time. As always, it's the Mark Kotsay Show, brought to you by Nest Betting. Enjoy the Bay Bridge Series, and we'll talk to you next week.
Sounds good. Thanks, Tony.
That's your skipper right here on A's Cast Live.
The Coliseum has gone by many names, but none better than the Last Dive Bar. Hi, everyone. Ken Korak here, and my friends at Last Dive Bar are helping us celebrate our longtime home. Last Dive Bar has the most unique merchandise for all Oakland baseball fans. T-shirts, sweatshirts, the Ray Fosse line, and my personal favorite, the lights have taken full effect. Visit their website at lastdivebar.com or follow them on social media at Last Dive Bar. All proceeds are invested back into the A's Community Fund and their affiliated charities. Go to lastdivebar.com. That's lastdivebar.com.
Like sports, business is about winning. Championship decisions are business decisions based on what it takes to help your company win. And that's why there's UBO Business Services, specializing in helping you win every day by streamlining workflows, managing documents, and providing the best-in-class office technology. Make your championship decision with UBO Business Services. Visit them at ubeo.com. That's ubeo.com.
Coming in at 5'3", it's number one mom. She switched to Xfinity and got the all-new 3-for-1 bundle. Unlimited internet, streaming, and Xfinity Mobile. All for what you could pay wireless companies for just one 5G unlimited line. Boom shakalaka. Go to Xfinity.com/3-for-1, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit an Xfinity store today. Limited time offer. Restrictions apply. Xfinity Mobile requires post-pay Xfinity Internet. After 24 months, regular rates apply to all services and devices.
Hey, A's fans, you know that running your own business is a slugfest every day. That's why businesses have been counting on Mechanics Bank since 1905. From operating lines of credit to equipment and real estate loans, they can help build your lineup to meet today's challenges and prepare for tomorrow's opportunities. Stop by your local branch or visit mechanicsbank.com today. Mechanics Bank, the official East Bay bank of the Oakland A's. Member FDIC and equal housing lender. All loans subject to program eligibility and credit approval.
Some things just go together. Peanut butter and jelly, cookies and milk, Oakland and Kaiser Permanente. If that last one caught you off guard, it shouldn't, because Kaiser Permanente has been helping keep Oakland healthy since our very beginning. And as the official healthcare partner of the Oakland A's, that won't be changing anytime soon. Whatever you may need, you can trust Kaiser Permanente to help keep you feeling your best. Kaiser Permanente. Thrive. Visit kp.org today.
Hey A's fans, we've got a great deal for you. Get 4 tickets and parking for all Friday night games starting at just $39. Pick from great matchups, post-game fireworks and drone shows, giveaways, and more.
Outside corner, ring him up. And Eaton can't believe it.
Grab the crew and head to the Coliseum with friends and family any Friday night this season. 4 tickets and parking starting at just $39 for the whole group. Tickets are available at athletics.com. That's athletics.com.
Innovation that's at the heart of Cal State East Bay, like at our Green Biome Institute, where faculty and students map genes from California's endangered plants, or how we open doors for local entrepreneurs at our Small Business Development Center. From educators to nurses to STEM professionals, Cal State East Bay has real impact throughout the region's neighborhoods, boardrooms, and entire economy. Be part of the innovation. Connect with Cal State East Bay at csueastbay.edu/impact.
Hitting the road with the family. On your way to nonstop adventures. No worries ahead, because you know you can stop at a Chevron station along the way. Get fuel for your car, fuel for your crew. That's Chevron with Techron for unbeatable mileage and snacks for all. Coffee for mom, chips for the kids, cold drinks for dad, for the road ahead. Toss in some laughs, out-of-tune singing, and a zillion "are we there yet?" And you just made lifelong family memories. Chevron, together ahead.
This is Chris Townsend for the Chicken Pie Shop of Walnut Creek. Great news! Our indoor dining is back, along with our beautiful patio dining. Come taste our world-famous chicken pie that has been served in Southern California for 83 years. The Chicken Pie Shop of Walnut Creek has one of the most dynamic menus, plus a full bar. Pot pies, gourmet burgers, sandwiches, salads, flatbreads, and more. Don't forget, we still do takeout and delivery. For all the information, go to chickenpieshopwc.com. That's chickenpieshopwc.com.
Streaming from the East Bay, A's Cast Live continues with Chris Townsend.
We are live on the field, getting you ready for the Bay Bridge Series coming up here at the Oakland Coliseum. We will honor the two-time World Series champion, two-time Gold Glove winner, two-time All-Star, the great Ray Fosse today, giving away his patch. And then tomorrow we have the Hall of Fame inductions, which is just going to be spectacular. We'll have everything covered for you here on A's Cast. As Ray Fosse will be going in, Keith Littman will be going in. We'll have Steve Vucinich, who's going to be stopping by. When is Vuce stopping by?
Vuce will be here at 2:15.
Steve Vucinich.
Salbando.
Eric Schaub is not going to be here, right?
Correct. He's a video message. But we're going to honor him. We're going to honor him later this year whenever the Mets come to town.
Kind of tough as
he's a coach right now.
Yeah.
Mets are trying to win the NL East.
He's got a job. Who am I missing? Oh, Salbando. We'll have Joe Rudy. So it's
Keith Littman.
I said that.
Oh, okay. I didn't hear you say Littman.
We're going to honor them on Sunday. Going to be really special. But I'm going to be dead honest with you. And what to me is here, we need to move.
There we go.
And not there we go. If you're listening, we're adjusting on the fly here.
We'll do it live.
All right, here's the deal. Here's what the Bay Bridge Series is. This is in what our world is. This is when the Bay Area media acts like they care about baseball. And it's really sad that we are one of only 5 markets, because I will count D.C., Baltimore as one of them, that has 2 teams. You look at New York, you look at Chicago, you look at Southern California, you look at the Bay Area, and then, of course, you look at D.C., the Beltway, as they like to call it, between D.C. and Baltimore. And the fact that our media does not care about baseball. It cares if the San Francisco Giants are good. If you look at the coverage last year, and the Giants warranted it, they won 107 games. But now that the Giants are in an absolute free fall.
That's an understatement.
And the Giants are 11-12 since July 21st, the worst record in baseball. They're trying to avoid a 5th losing streak of 5 games or more. It's now Niner time, right? So now we're going to see all of these people who are Bay Area media who don't care about baseball, but they show up. Somehow we still give out press passes to everybody, and they show up one time a year. Oh, wait, excuse me. Some of them will show up 2 times a year because they came to watch Steph Curry throughout the first pitch. And that's all they show up for, and they go walking around like they give a crap. And the reality is they don't give a crap. They don't care about baseball, and probably one of the most frustrating things of them all is a bunch of them have Hall of Fame votes. They don't even attend Major League Baseball games in their own area, and they get to vote on whether guys have their history for the rest of time in that wonderful museum in Cooperstown, New York. Like, for example, I'm not going to call out certain people, but I saw a couple people that came out here just to see Steph Curry, and it's against the Astros. So those Astros team, that Astro team has multiple guys that will at least, well, for sure, right now, Justin Verlander on another great streak, having won 7 in a row, probably the front runner right now for the American League Cy Young Award, as he's very historic at 39 years old and what Verlander's doing. Hats off to him. It's been a pleasure to watch him so many times here at the Coliseum, even though it was at the A's expense, especially in 2012 and 2013 in the postseason. But, you know, they came out, you had people with Hall of Fame votes who literally came out to watch Steph Curry do a bad batting practice, a horrible first pitch, and don't even give a crap about the Houston Astros, who are guys that you're going to vote for someday to potentially be in the Baseball Hall of Fame. Our Bay Area media, from a baseball standpoint, is an absolute joke. And the Bay Bridge series, and I'll call them out. I'm going to do it on this. I'm going to call it out on whether anyone cares or not. At least somebody will. Is that they're going to take a moment to get away from 49er camp and whether Jimmy Garoppolo, I saw Matt Mayoko, by the way, the other day. Great. Matt Mayoko's awesome, one of the good people in our business. And he was telling me how, you think about how long Matt Mayoko has covered the 49ers, this relationship of Jimmy G. Everybody's cordial, everybody's great, but they don't want him to practice. They don't want him to get hurt. They want to get rid of him. He doesn't want to stay, but he's saying all the right things. It's very bizarre. But they're going to take 2 days away from Niner camp to actually care about Bay Area baseball. That's what the Bay Bridge series has become. It's the one time that our phony Bay Area media acts like they care about baseball and acts like they even know anything about the game. It's pretty pathetic. But this series does mean a lot. And from a standpoint of when it comes over here to the East Bay, it allows people who, for whatever reason, I don't know, they will not make the trip. Even as Giants fans, they won't make the trip over to Oracle Park. I don't know if it's finances. I don't know if it's location. Whatever it may be, you see a great amount of A's and Giants fans at the Coliseum for these games, as these games are highly attended. They're going to be highly attended the next 2 days. I've been people coming out of the woodwork who are actually, all my buddies who are A's fans who want my tickets for the next 2 days. But it's also for a lot of Giants fans who, like I said, for whatever reason, are not able to go to games over at Oracle Park, can come here and attend games and enjoy baseball. So from a standpoint of the baseball community here in the Bay Area, and really whether you see it in Chicago, you see it in New York, you see it in Southern California, or you see it in D.C. and Baltimore, there's just something special about the two-team markets, is that where it's just so different when you grow up in a town. I mean, there's so many towns who don't even have baseball or have major league sports, but a lot of these towns, you just got, Cody grew up in Pittsburgh. They don't have the American League. I grew up in San Diego. Didn't have the American League, even though the Angels were just right up the road going up I-5. They were right there. But this gives you a chance, for you to see the other side, which back in the day you only got to see like in 1989, which would have been the World Series. You didn't get to see the American League and the National League. And now you get to see everybody. And now with these two teams playing against each other, I've called for years. And I do believe it's going to happen. And I've learned from my guy Dave Stewart about what they're doing in Nashville, how they are going to get, there's going to be an expansion. Baseball wants to expand to 32 teams. So that means that they're going to have to realign everything. And how we do it now is ridiculous, that the Rangers and the Astros are in our division. The fact that the Colorado Rockies are in the division for the San Francisco Giants is absolutely ridiculous. So when they bring in these two new teams, you're going to have total realignment. And I have to believe what they will do is what is smart is we'll start seeing the National League and the American League. Basically, it's going to get broken up as we know it. It shouldn't shock anybody. Hell, if if USC and UCLA can play in the Big Ten, and Oklahoma and Texas can be in the Big 12, along with Missouri, you say Missouri, Cody, you can easily start having divisions where, and would be a great division if you had Giants, A's, Dodgers, Angels, Padres in one division. It makes sense.
The geographical location is perfect, and you're right. Missouri is what I call it. I hope that does happen.
I don't know what you do with the Mariners and what you do with the D-backs, though.
Because they both play in the Pacific time zone, too. Well, Arizona's different time zone for half the year, but I think you have to keep them somehow, but that's something that good thing we don't have to figure that out. That's something that people that make way more money than us have to figure out.
Yeah, and you'll be able to, and that's why they want to get to 32 teams, and they want to copy the NFL model when they do it. But yeah, that to have what we have today, what we're going to see, what we see when it's over at Oracle Park, or what we see here. I mean, you're telling me the Dodgers come here? Now, I mean, who doesn't want to see the Padres now with Juan Soto when Fernando Tatis comes back, and when you have Manny Machado, and you throw in the Angels? I mean, you think of the star power alone in California when you've got Trout, you've got Ohtani, you've got Soto, you got Machado, Manny Machado, you got Fernando Tatis. I mean, you got Mookie Betts, who may be better than all of them right now.
Freeman.
I mean, you have just unbelievable Freddie Freeman. You got so much talent in California alone. What that division would be. Now, obviously, players will come and go long term, but I just like the idea, and we'll see the next 2 days what I'm talking about, how it's just good for baseball when you have geography make sense. There is no sense. Look at the passion that's going to be in the ballpark today, and tell me if you're ever going to see that passion when the Texas Rangers come to town.
You might get some people that root for Marcus Semien, but that's about it.
But I'm talking passion.
Yeah, no.
Fan base is like, you can't tell me, and let's be fair to the Rangers, right? If I'm in Arlington, Texas, let's call it Dallas metropolitan area.
Fort Worth, yeah.
If I'm in that area and you say Oakland's coming to town, it means nothing to me. Well, I mean, what's the there? At least you can always have the Southern California versus Northern California rivalries. That's something you can sell and something that you can have, and that would be better for us. And yeah, I'm going to be selfish. I'm going to say, what is better for us? Like Houston, if Houston doesn't get through the cheating scandal, I mean, Houston became a rival because of scandal, because we felt slighted. There's never been the connection between Oakland, California, and Houston, Texas, right? This is, for God's sakes, they were a National League team for all those years. It just seems like, we're not that far away. And really, what's keeping all this from happening is Oakland and Tampa. The minute that the Oakland A's, and hopefully, knock on wood, we're going to get that answer as soon as possible in Howard Terminal. And the same thing, I'm not up on what's happening in St. Petersburg and Tampa. But the minute that we get the answers that Major League Baseball needs, and I've gotten this from Dave Stewart. We talked to Dave Stewart. Was it last Friday?
2 Fridays ago. Last Friday. Because, well, if you don't count tomorrow, yesterday. Yeah, last Friday.
So Dave Stewart is going to be the owner, the managing general partner, and he has a group of the Nashville Stars. And once Oakland and Tampa / St. Petersburg get their situations established, Major League Baseball then can announce it's 2 other cities to get to 32 teams. And what are they waiting for? And that's the A's and the Rays. But once that's situated, then we'll find out. Baseball has the plan. We just don't know it. I know Dave, an A's Hall of Famer, is speaking to the commissioner and is up to date on a lot of stuff. But, whether you're put in whatever is going to be the East, how they're going to work the Central, how they're going to work the West. Maybe they go back to what they used to have, just West and East. How the National League and American League. I mean, things changed over the years in the NFL between the NFC and the AFC and everything. I mean, regional, obviously trying to get regional rivalries back as the main thing will happen. That's what, the alignment will have to be redone in baseball. But I can't wait. And it's all on us. It's all on us and the Rays getting situated. Once we're situated, we're going to have those numbers. I've lost track of time.
We got plenty of time. It's like 1:35. 1:34.
Who's up next?
Not till Vuce at 2:15. We got plenty of time. I do like the idea of having, the balance. I like the balance schedule that's coming in next year. So everyone's going to see every team. It'll be great if you're, for me, like the Pirates coming to Oakland or the A's going to Pittsburgh. If I live like that, that's great to see other teams you don't see. Say you're a fan of an American League team like Baltimore. You got to see Juan Soto, but you never see Tatis. You never see Machado. Well, Machado was there, but
the way that they'd come to your place or you went to their place, and then it's going to have to be 3 years. And no, the fact that every single young kid, every little girl and every little boy loves baseball. I think we're seeing this like with certain markets where you take advantage and you start building. I think that's where Juan Soto, the move, whether, you sent me that article going, wait a minute, how are the Padres going to financially take care of all this? That's a great question. But what you're doing is every little boy and every little girl there that's going to those games now is a fan for life.
Yeah.
And so you start building the generations, you start planting the seeds. Yes, you have the adults now, you get the kids involved. And I think starting next year, it is important that in our game, to grow our game, I think of all the Raider games that I did here behind us here on the field at the Coliseum. The fact that Tom Brady came to town. Right? Peyton Manning came to town. Like everybody came to town. At some point in the NFL, everybody plays each other. But in baseball, you'll get it every single year. I mean, the fact that you look back on how archaic it was years ago, that, you had the National League greats, never played in the American League parks, and the American League greats never played in the National League parks, and you'd have these crazy historian people would be like, well, that's what made the World Series so special. Yeah, well, that's a week. Back in the day, it was a week. That's how they played it out, 1 week. Now you talk about the growth of your game. Your game is a global, international game. The fact that you will have every single team and every single star. We talk about how to promote players and make player awareness bigger in baseball, how great that will be, that everybody will come to this field. Everybody will go over and take on the Giants at Oracle Park. So you name whoever the star player is. Like right now, I would think it was a travesty in baseball that not everybody would get to see the Shohei Ohtani show. This is a once, potentially. We're now warming up to it now that we saw some players in the draft. We're now going to see more players in the draft who are two-way players.
Giants got one.
Who the front office is going to be open to and going to say, okay, we're going to give this guy a shot in the minor leagues. Let's see what he can do. But it would be dumb of baseball not to allow this maybe once in a lifetime player to showcase his skill in every ballpark in baseball. There's 30 ballparks in baseball. This guy should be showcasing all 30 of them, for God's sakes. You're seeing a once-in-a-generation, once-in-a-lifetime talent. I mean, God's sakes, the other day against the A's, he's pitching. The next day he's hitting 2 home runs. When the hell have you ever seen that, and when will you ever see it again?
Probably, I mean, you're right. There are more two-way guys playing. The Rays have one in Brandon McKay. The Giants got Reggie Crawford in the draft. There's more guys coming, but people like a player like Ohtani, we're not going to see someone like that. And what he did the other day, the 2 solo home runs, the Angels hit 7 solo home runs and still lost the game. One of only 6 teams ever do that. That was just remarkable to see. The ball, I mean, that ball, the second one Ohtani hit that was so far inside, that curveball, so far inside that he took out to right center was just unbelievable. The guy is an immense talent, and he's not going to – there was an article that just came out in the LA Times the other day, and he said it's hard to play with a high morale when the team's not winning. How do you blame him? How do you blame him and Trout? You have 2 generational talents that can't win there, tying it back to the sport. Not everyone gets to see these guys play. There's kids growing up that never saw Mike Trout play in person, probably still. But coming next year, you get to see it interleague play. helps that interleague play started 25 years ago. Now this is the 25th year. A's and Giants. A's 71 and 65 in interleague play versus Giants. Also 4-0 in the World Series. Don't forget that. So I think it's going to be good for branding of the sport when this comes around next year for everyone to see a player like Ohtani, because who knows, this next year could be his last year in Anaheim. And he could be a Yankee, a Mariner, a Giant. Well, not the Giants, but Yankee, Mariner, Met.
Well, you need to take advantage of showcasing that too. And that's where you got to be like, I think back like when Jordan would come to town here in the Bay Area. The Golden State Warriors were garbage. I mean, they were terrible. Michael Jordan's come to town. What did they start doing back in the day? And it went from Jordan to Kobe and Shaq. They went to these ticket packages. Well, if you want to see the Lakers and Kobe and Shaq, you got to buy X, Y, and Z to go with it, right? You made it an event to see the best players. The best players are coming to town, making an event. And that's what baseball truly needs to do. They need to make it an event. Why does everybody keep texting us?
Well, I mean, because we're probably we're immensely popular on Twitter and YouTube, so people want to join in.
Stop.
They want to text us their thoughts.
Stop.
You can comment on the YouTube page. You can, for whatever people. If you have an opinion, comment there. I'm still trying to get us a text line, which will be great.
Be very afraid of a text line. I dealt with a text line the majority of my career. Let me tell you, about 80% of it's garbage.
Or you know what? Send your.
You know what it comes. It becomes the bitch line, is what it becomes. I don't like this, and I don't like that. Why'd you say this? I mean, very few times will you actually get a text. Whenever you say, I want to involve everyone, be very afraid of what it means if you want to involve everyone. Because you know what? The people who are the loudest end up being the biggest issues, and they end up texting the most. And it just becomes the hate line over and over. I remember, like, it got to a point to where it was funny. You could tell the radio hosts when they're so consumed about the text line, because the text line is always negative, and show hosts try and act like they got big bravado, but all of a sudden people start ripping them on the text line. It like hurts their ego, and they start responding everything to the text line. It's like, got to turn that off, because it's just the wine line.
That's good. The wine line.
The wine line. It should be called the wine line.
We can do that now on Twitter. If you don't like us, you can tweet at us at AthleticsCast24. Send your vitriol, your hate, your praise, whatever.
I won't read any of it. He'll have to.
Yeah, I have to deal with it.
One guy I want to get on the program, and Mark Kotsay addressed it. And for him, it's a different story. But to me, the fact that the deadline has come and gone has helped this team. And it's helped this team from a standpoint of not having to look over your shoulder anymore. That you can step up and you don't have to answer the questions from someone like myself, Matt Kawahara, or Martin Gallegos, who are standing over here in the dugout, where, you're wondering, am I getting traded? Am I going to get moved on? What's going to happen with the front office? You look at Sean Murphy and what he has done since that slow start. Last 27 games, hitting .311, 15 extra base hits, 17 RBIs. And I want to get him on the show. And I want to ask him, what is the difference between now, the last 27 games, and essentially the start of the year, where he came out of spring training and he was absolutely red hot. Spring training, he talked to us here on Ace Cast Live. He talked to us about all the strikeouts and the low batting average bugged him in the offseason. And he wanted to make that change. Not only did he tell us, he told other people in the media, not a whole lot were down there, but he told the other people and the beat writers that it just didn't sit well with him. And it's one of those deals where I don't know what happened, because he was crushing the ball. Absolutely everything he hit down spring training while we were there, he was just lighting it up. And then he comes to regular season, and he couldn't hit. Just couldn't hit. And Mark Kotsay had to move him down in the order, and he really, really struggled. And you're like, listen, hey, this guy, this is the one piece they're holding on to. He's 27 years old. I mean, he's heading into the prime of his career. And I just wonder what happened from spring training to severe struggles, start of the year, even into June, and then now in the last 27 games hitting .313. And actually, you could really kind of say early June is when he started getting it rolling, finally. Like, what was the difference? Because it's not injury. He wasn't coming out. He wasn't nursing anything coming out. Unless it's something that he kept hidden. I don't know of any. Do you know of anything that he kept hidden?
No, remember it was last offseason. He had the collapsed lung that we found out about. It happened over the offseason, but nothing this year.
No. So it's like, I don't know why he struggled, but as he struggled, so the A's offense. And if the A's offense, in a way, is going to be built around him, that's something, what do you learn from this slow start to take you to where you are now? Because it's very obvious, and seeing even Jim Bowden talked about it in his article in The Athletic, the former GM, where he gave the A's a B at the trading deadline. And you kind of forget that Christian Bethancourt is a part of that trading deadline transactions, but he talked about he thought the A's would move Ramon Laureano and Sean Murphy at the deadline, but they kept both. They didn't receive the offers that they wanted. So it's going to be, okay, he's 27 years old. You're saying right now he's the showcase. He's the guy in the middle of your order, 27, 28, in his prime year. Or I should say his prime years. What's he going to give you? And it's, to me, a little odd that we have so much catching depth. Because I'll be honest with you, I don't think you need a big offensive catcher to win. I think that's far overblown.
Yeah, ask the Astros how that's going.
Martin Maldonado, Steve Sparksy told us that he says Dusty Baker could tell you Martin Maldonado is the team MVP, and he's hitting I haven't checked, but he's probably still hitting around $150.
Yeah, he wasn't doing well. And they did get Christian Vasquez at the deadline. He's a pretty good hitting catcher from the Red Sox, but Maldonado's still their guy.
He's going to be starting the playoff games.
Yeah, the staff loves him.
And they don't care what he's doing offensively. And Ray Fosse, who we're honoring today,
I have the patch on too right here,
would tell you he doesn't care. I don't care what he does offensively. Manage the game. Be the leader. Be the guy who leads the staff to victory. Wins are still, I love telling you the offensive stats, but wins are still about defense and pitching. And you are the leader of that as the catcher of the team. So knowing that, my God, we got Langoliers at AAA.
Bo Taylor.
Soderstrom out.
You were talking about catching depth.
Stop. Soderstrom, you drafted as a catcher. Obviously, he's going to get moved because of his bat. Now you just draft Susac. I mean, you've got a ton of catchers, and you got a catcher in his prime. What are you doing?
There's another one, too. C.J. Rodriguez and Stockton might be the best defensive catcher in the system. Catcher out of Vandy.
I'm tired of hearing about catchers. Only one plays. I want Julio Rodriguez hitting bombs in center field. I want a guy hitting bombs in right field. I want a guy that does everything. He runs, throws, hits, and you've got a bazillion catchers. I'm not building an organization back to where we need to get on having a ton of catchers. Only one catcher plays per game. And you're not raising a kid to be a DH. Unless one of these kids is going to be Big Papi or Edgar Martinez, I'm not raising a kid to be a DH. So I don't know. Like next spring training, if I'm sitting around going, well, hey, man, you look at the top prospects, they're all catchers, and you got Murph. What are we doing here? I need more pitching. I need guys that can. I need to look up at the scoreboard and not see 215.
They need outfield depth in this system. Denzel Clark's been having a very good year. He had the 2 back-to-back
He's
games.
so far away.
I know, but like that's the only guy I can think of in the system that's a good outfielder.
He's so far away.
Now, exciting. He did have the back-to-back games at the inside the park home run. Then he hit one out last night, an actual home run out of the ballpark.
Yeah, that was was that over the weekend? I think it was Saturday.
No, it is Saturday.
Wednesday.
It was Wednesday and Thursday, I think, or Tuesday and Wednesday.
Yeah, when that happened, I asked Stu, I'm like, all right, Stu, you've been in baseball a long time. I mean, Stu's been in baseball dating back to the 70s. Have you ever seen something like that? He went, nope. And to think about back-to-back days for Denzel Clark, I didn't see the highlights of either of them. Did you see a highlight?
I saw the second one.
Was there a misplayed ball on
I don't
it?
think so. I'd have to go back and watch it again to remember it. But
okay, I have never seen an inside the park home run that didn't have some type of misplay. You just don't hit the ball into the outfield. And I mean, he's fast, but I don't know if there's always something that goes on to have an inside the park home run. It's not a perfect relay. There's always something that has to happen. And to have that happen 2 days in a row at the professional level, I mean, usually it's a quirky bounce, it's a bad throw, it's a bad, and it's a type of quirky thing defensively that the official score is not going to give an error on. To have back-to-back games with inside the park home runs is truly amazing. But getting back to it, it's like, yeah, what I would like to see, I'd like to see some behind me, whether we're going to have, if Geloff can be a stud third baseman, great, but that's what you need. Having a boatload of catchers, I mean, it works for trades. I mean, if you're looking for an organization, I mean, that's where the rumors were between the the Cleveland Guardians and the Athletics about Sean Murphy. But in the end, getting back to Sean, love to have him on this week and talk about.
Sorry, I was watching one of the home runs. One of them hit up like the top of the wall and it bounced.
Yeah, there's always something quirky that goes on with them.
Yeah.
You know how hard it is to hit a ball to the outfield and have a guy run all the way around and make it safe?
Yeah, unless you're not even Ricky. I'm trying to think of like Billy Hamilton could do it.
First of all, no one's ever done it. No one in professional baseball. It came out yesterday. I saw it on Twitter. No one has ever done that in the history of baseball, where you've had back-to-back inside the park home runs. It's it's absolutely insane. But, the thing is, we're seeing good baseball by the A's, and I wanted to throw the stat about outscoring the opposition.
By the way, real quick, I told Vuce to come over at 2 so we can have more time with him. He said that's good with him.
What time?
2. So we got about 8 minutes.
The A's have won 9 of their last 13, outscoring the opposition 59-47. And we talked to Stephen Vogt earlier today off the air, as Stephen Vogt right now is taking BP. What an inspiration he has been to this ball club and these players. And he told us that this is the most fun he's been, having. He just, he came over, we laughed about the stolen base that he had against the Angels, but he's loving his time. This is such an interesting time for a player in his life because he knows this is the end. He's enjoying, like he said to us, he's enjoying practice. He's enjoying the meetings. He's enjoying preparing for the games. And what he really is doing, whether he knows it or not, is he's really starting to prepare himself for life after baseball, which I just asked him, what was it, about 20 minutes ago? I asked him off air, I'm like, you do want to manage someday? And he said yes. You got to deal with the young kids and see what happens. But Stephen Vogt, as a manager in Major League Baseball, I bet would happen. And to know how people feel about him, obviously catchers make great managers. They're guys, they're the one position. Why do catchers make well, because they're in every pitch. Catchers are behind the dish helping make decisions. And they come into the dugout and they're talking to the pitching coach. They're talking to the manager. They know if a guy's got good stuff. They know if he doesn't. They know what's down in the pen. They're like a secondary manager for you. It's the only position, as I say all the time, everybody's looking in at you. You're looking out at them. To be a very good catcher, you have to be very cerebral. And to think about Stephen Vogt and how people feel about him in the game, that when his time has come and he actually hangs him up, he immediately, I don't know what that route will be for him. Probably being a little bit of a front office guy to start out with wouldn't be bad. I mean, he has the knowledge of the on-field, no question about it. I think it's also very key at times. Bob Melvin got this with the Mets to be a part of the front office, to understand how the front office works. You know, because the old school manager, it doesn't work today. You're going to have to work in lockstep with the front office now. You know, the key to being a great manager in today's baseball, and this works, I don't know how much so much in football, but it really works in the NBA, and it really works also in the NHL. You've got to manage up as well as you manage down. And what I mean by that is you've got to be able to manage the owners. You've got to be able to deal with the front office. You've got to be able to deal with the GM. And now it's just not a GM anymore. My God, you've got to deal with the president of baseball operations, the vice president of baseball operations, the chief baseball operator, officer. You got the GM. You've got assistant GMs. So as a manager, you've got to deal with all these guys. And once again, you got to deal with the owner. You got to deal with the rich guy who, like, let's say he's an Artie Moreno type and he's a hothead. You got to deal with him. Like, looking back, we don't know the inner workings of that. I would be very interested to know how things were between Joe Madden and Artie Moreno.
Yeah, I want to know that too, because you thought he was going to be the guy that led you into the future, took you to the playoffs.
He was the savior. He was, you know, the last time the Angels had won the World Series, he was a part of Mike Scioscia's staff. And so not only do you have to manage up, you got to be able to manage down. And that's your staff and your players. That's an art form. So I think Stephen Vogt might be a good idea, maybe to have a little front office time before he gets back into uniform. Coming up next, we're going to have one of the new A's Hall of Famers right here on A's Cast Live.
The Coliseum has gone by many names, but none better than the Last Dive Bar. Hi, everyone. Ken Korak here, and my friends at Last Dive Bar are helping us celebrate our longtime home. Last Dive Bar has the most unique merchandise for all Oakland baseball fans. T-shirts, sweatshirts, the Ray Fosse line, and my personal favorite, the lights have taken full effect. Visit their website at lastdivebar.com or follow them on social media at Last Dive Bar. All proceeds are invested back into the A's Community Fund and their affiliated charities. Go to lastdivebar.com. That's lastdivebar.com.
Some things just go together. Peanut butter and jelly, cookies and milk, Oakland and Kaiser Permanente. If that last one caught you off guard, it shouldn't, because Kaiser Permanente has been helping keep Oakland healthy since our very beginning. And as the official healthcare partner of the Oakland A's, that won't be changing anytime soon. Whatever you may need, you can trust Kaiser Permanente to help keep you feeling your best. Kaiser Permanente. Thrive. Visit kp.org today.
Coming in at 5'3", it's number one mom. She switched to Xfinity and got the all-new 3-for-1 bundle. Unlimited internet, streaming, and Xfinity Mobile. All for what you could pay wireless companies for just one 5G unlimited line. Boom shakalaka. Go to Xfinity.com/3-for-1, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit an Xfinity store today. Limited time offer. Restrictions apply. Xfinity Mobile requires post-pay Xfinity internet. After 24 months, regular rates apply to all services and devices.
This is Chris Townsend for the Chicken Pie Shop of Walnut Creek. Great news! Our indoor dining is back, along with our beautiful patio dining. Come taste our world-famous chicken pie that has been served in Southern California for 83 years. The Chicken Pie Shop of Walnut Creek has one of the most dynamic menus, plus a full bar. Pot pies, gourmet burgers, sandwiches, salads, flatbreads, and more. Don't forget, we still do takeout and delivery. For all the information, go to chickenpieshopwc.com. That's chickenpieshopwc.com.
Humanity has accomplished a whole lot so far. We created penicillin, the automobile, and the internet. not to mention drones, duct tape, and the hot dog. It's all thanks to the power of human connections. And Ring Central's here to make that even easier, more seamlessly and securely, on a platform built to grow your business. Say hello to a whole new way to say hello. Visit ringcentral.com and say hello to possibilities. Ring Central. Message, video, phone, together.
Unlock offers and receive exclusive in-game features by downloading the MLB Ballpark app for iPhone and Android today. Plus, get the latest information on game times, schedules, and more.
When Northern California businesses need some pop in their lineup, they call the bank rooted in the East Bay. Mechanics Bank. Since 1905, Mechanics Bank has been helping Bay Area and Northern California businesses find success and perform at the top of their game. See how they can make a difference in your business today. Call or stop by your local branch or visit mechanicsbank.com. Mechanics Bank, the official East Bay bank of the Oakland A's. Member FDIC and equal housing lender.
Hey A's fans, we've got a great deal for you. Get 4 tickets and parking for all Friday night games starting at just $39. Pick from great matchups, post-game fireworks and drone shows, giveaways, and more.
Outside corner, ring him up. And Eaton can't believe it.
Grab the crew and head to the Coliseum with friends and family any Friday night this season. 4 tickets and parking starting at just $39 for the whole group. Tickets are available at athletics.com. That's athletics.com.
If you're looking for a new mattress, Nest Bedding has you covered. Sleep on the same mattress Hall of Famer Ricky Henderson sleeps on. Nest Bedding is a national brand with family-owned prices and service. You can shop at one of their Bay Area locations, and all stores are sanitized and safe, or you can navigate their easy-to-use website, nestbedding.com. That's nestbedding.com. Green and Gold fans, use the coupon code Oakland and you'll get 10% off your entire order. Nest Bedding, love where you sleep.
A's Cast Live continues from the town. Here's Chris Townsend.
Well, when you think about the Oakland Athletics, you think about the tradition of the Oakland Athletics. One of the main things about our organization is loyalty. And when you're a part of the family, you're in it. And our next guest has been a part of the family since 1968, since day one of the A's coming west from Kansas City. And tomorrow he will be inducted into the A's Hall of Fame. And if anybody is to be inducted, there's no question, Steve Vucinich, you should be, because you've been a part of the fabric of the Oakland Athletics since day one. And now that you've retired, wow, what an honor.
It really is. Like I said, I've been here since 68. I always thought once we established a Hall of Fame, which was long, long overdue, I would eventually get in and be honored, but I didn't expect it to be this soon, first year out of retirement. But it's a special feeling. I mean, going in with the elite group that I'm going in with, the people that are already in there, it's so special, especially for, you talk about just a sock and jock man who can get honored this way.
A sock and jock man. I love it. But it's like you could go in really with any era because you would have worked with any of the players, but there is something special for you in your life, let alone your career, going in with Ray and Sal and Joe and what those 70s teams meant to you personally.
Absolutely. I mean, we won 3 World Series in a row on a team that's put together by Charlie Finley, and he did a great job through the draft and free agents. And to see those guys come back to go into the Hall, me be a part of going in when they go in. Like I said, it's an elite group. Guys that meant a lot to me. And then Eric Chavez going in. Unfortunately, he won't be here tomorrow. But him going in, too, and seeing his career rise from the time he was a number 1 draft choice, at age 19 being an all-star in the Cal League, which was almost unheard of at the time, and his storied career here in Oakland. So these are all my people. They're all my people, and guys that I've been around with, and parts of 7 decades here, they said. I didn't even realize that until somebody mentioned that this morning. But it's really an honor, especially for somebody that never put on a uniform except to shag balls down the left field line.
You're just a sock and jock guy.
Just a sock and jock guy. That's a standard line.
Why did you hang him up? Now that you've had time, why?
You know, there are things I want to do when I'm healthy. I just got back from an Alaskan cruise. We were gone 15 days altogether, 11 on the cruise and a trip up to Denali. The things I want to do. You know what? The job got more and bigger, and that's why with my successors, they've kind of spread it out a little bit. The hours were long. That's what killed me. I won't say killed me, but that was a detriment. It was just the hours. I'd wake up, have a half hour at home, read a newspaper if you can get one delivered, and a cup of coffee, and I'm at the ballpark. And I got a half hour at home after the game's over. So it's the hours, it was long hours, and 54 years, that was enough. I was just turned 70 a couple weeks ago, and I won't say I had enough. I love the game. I watch every game on TV if I can. Got the MLB app and listen to you guys, and you guys get me through my workouts on my cardiac rehab every day.
Me getting all angry.
Yeah. What's funny is I'll have the earbuds in and I'll be listening, and they monitor you with a little heart monitor, and they can tell over there, and all of a sudden the girl come on, "What are you laughing at?" I said, "If I told you, you wouldn't believe it." But it was time. It was time to move on, and I've seen too many people in my position die in this job and never move on and do the things that they wanted to or deserve to do. So it was time.
You talk about leaving the position, but you can't leave the organization because, as I said, it's family. And for you, this is whether you're officially working for the A's or not. I mean, this is a big part of your life and your love. I don't think there's ever going to be a time you can turn it off.
Absolutely. It's just like somebody said, "You watch our games. Why do you care?" I said, you just can't turn the faucet off. This is my life. These are my guys. You're one of my guys. Everybody here, I see them every day during the season, and I'm getting words passed on to me. I think I mentioned on TV the other day from writers in Chicago, from writers in Baltimore. So they're a family. This is my family, and that's why. I still got to be a part of it. You got to be around.
And the game changed so much during your time. I mean, you think of like the late 60s. Everybody wants to talk about the 70s. You got to remember, these guys came over from Kansas City. So you've got a young Reggie Jackson. You've got a young Rick Monday. I just saw a picture the other day. It's Joe DiMaggio talking to Rick Monday, Reggie Jackson, and having just saw a picture of Rick Monday now, I think, because of Vin Scully passing away, I think Monday's like 76 right now. And just think about a young Reggie, and there's Joe DiMaggio in the uniform. I mean, if you go back just what baseball players were like in the late 60s to what they are today, you saw all those changes.
Absolutely. And I know that picture because they've run that a lot lately. John Donaldson's in that picture, Joe Rudy. The respect they had for listening to Joe DiMaggio, and that was not a staged photo. That was Joe talking and everybody just kind of gathering in. Because Joe had never been in uniform with a big league club other than going to spring training occasionally with the Yankees back in Florida. And so when the team moved out of here, Charlie hired him as a vice president. It was more of a headline position, and he could sit in on some negotiations. I know he sat in on the talks with the Atlantic Richfield people, which was a predecessor for Arco, and they're a big sponsor here, and he sat in on a couple of those and probably sealed the deal. But that was a great photo. I saw those guys come up. You know that these guys were going to be good, that they were putting it together. They're all played together in the minor leagues. They're like brothers. They're like family. They knew each other so well, and you could see them gel. In '68, that was the first time they'd played over 500 balls since Charlie Finley had owned the club back in Kansas City. And then in '69, we're expected to contend. Had some injuries in there, and it didn't happen. But you could see the foundation being laid. And the only guy that it was really traded away, and he was traded for a vital piece, was Rick Monday. Traded the Cubs for Kenny Holtzman, another starter that we needed at the time, and that kind of solidified our pitching staff for '72.
Yeah, some of the pictures that you had in your office. One of my favorites, you and I used to always joke about, was Colonel Sanders, the late great Colonel Sanders in the white. Was that a tuxedo? What was that? Or a suit? But Colonel Sanders always had the little black bow tie and the white suit, or I guess it wouldn't be a tuxedo. It would have been a suit.
Yeah, that was the real Colonel Sanders.
The real.
There have been so many imposters over the years for commercials and things, but that was the real. And Kentucky Fried Chicken was a big sponsor then. They catered food in the press lounge occasionally and had some advertising here. And so he was making a goodwill tour around and came out. And I was fortunate to have a picture. I said, that is probably the most, they said that's the most recognizable person in the world next to Muhammad Ali.
Colonel Sanders.
Colonel Sanders.
And that is a sad note here on A's Cast Live. But there was also the picture with Joe D in there. What was it like, Joe DiMaggio, when he started walking around in an A's uniform, that the other American League teams would see Joe DiMaggio in an A's uniform? That had to be like, wow.
Well, Joe was an icon then. The movie The Graduate had just come out. And as a Simon Garfunkel sang the song, and so he was.
Where have you gone, Joe DiMaggio?
So he was resurrected again, and then coming into uniform with the A's, everybody wanted to talk to Joe because he had not been around. He hadn't been to Detroit. He hadn't been to the White Sox.
He was real private.
Absolutely, very private person, and so he was traveling with the ball club and. It wasn't like us later on, but it was almost like a rock show because he was the man. Reggie wasn't the man yet. Campy wasn't the man. Joe DiMaggio was the man in an Oakland A's uniform.
Was he Mr. Because Joe DiMaggio obviously didn't. I was born in '72. Me knowing baseball history, Joe DiMaggio the great, but Joe DiMaggio to me as a little boy was Mr. Coffee.
And you want to tell
was he Mr. Coffee yet?
I'm gonna. He was. That was coming on, and I'll tell you a little secret. He didn't even drink coffee.
Are you serious?
He had a Mr. Coffee.
Do not
machine.
tell me Arnold Palmer did not use Pennzoil. Arnold Palmer used Pennzoil oil, right? Please tell me.
I'm sure he did.
And he drank Arnold Palmer's.
But Joe was a tea guy.
Really?
So we used the Mr. Coffee to make him hot water for his tea. And not to say before I knew him, and maybe when he was a player, he drank coffee, but he didn't at that time when he was with us.
One of the things I always love talking about, having read the Last Dynasty and the Charlie Finley book, and it just does not get its due. And Charlie gets a bad rap. This is a guy, however you feel business-wise, he made a lot of money, so bought a team. It's his team. But he ran the team from Chicago. He won 3 straight World Series, but they win the playoffs 71-75. He did all of that from another town, from a rotary phone with a cord, folks, not a cell phone. He ran a baseball team from a phone in Chicago that won 3 straight World Series and is one of the great runs in the history of baseball.
And when he was trying to sneak out here, we would find out, and then all of a sudden the guys that know in the front office would put their ties back on. And here comes Charlie. And Charlie says, well, I like the way you guys wear ties every day. But they didn't. But Charlie would be on the phone all the time. He'd call and complain about a $5 phone bill, about a $5 laundry bill, and spend $6 on a phone call back in the days before it was cheap like it is now. Yeah, he ran it. He had his people here that he talked to. He was the general manager. He was making all the trades. He had some scouts that he would rely on, just get some information, and he'd maybe – call scouts of another team who say, oh, great, I got a call from Charlie Finley. Yeah, he asked about this player. Next thing you know, we trade for him, and the guy becomes a better than average player. He didn't like spending money, except for players at the beginning, and then the arbitration process kind of wore on him, and he decided to bail out. It was a good time. But he understood baseball and talent, and he spent a lot of money in signing bonuses before the draft and once the draft started in '65. So he was a pretty good, smart baseball man, considering he made all his money in insurance.
Well, a lot of people, the way he's looked at when you say about being cheap, but now how we know the game has gone to where the NFL, the NBA, the NHL, they all went to salary caps. Why? Because it works and it's better for the game. The problem that we have now in baseball, where you have the teams that have a ton of money, teams that don't. It's just it's such an odd balance in the game of baseball. Charlie said that would happen, and he was right.
Charlie thought it would happen sooner than it did. The discrepancy now is where our payrolls are at $47 million, and a couple of clubs are 270, 280. That's a big difference. But how about in 1990, after we'd won the World Series in '89, We had the highest payroll in baseball.
Yeah.
1990 we did. I mean, it was maybe $28 million, but it showed that we could compete. Now the discrepancy is just so far apart.
Well, the revenue streams, Charlie didn't know what they were going to be, but he just knew at some point that certain teams wouldn't be able to compete. We didn't know at that point the internet, everything was about attendance then. We didn't know about cable, new ballparks, all the money you're going to get from merchandise, what you're going to get from the app. I mean, the pie would grow bigger, but the bigger markets had a chance to make more than the other teams because it just wasn't about attendance anymore.
Absolutely. And they used to say your break-even point was $1 million in attendance. No, that's not even close. You got Kansas City and St. Louis and Milwaukee. They don't have big TV contracts. We have a bigger one here in Oakland. But the whole revenue sources from the internet, MLB.com, the TV thing, the national TV, that's what's paying all the bills. Charlie was smart enough to realize that at that time, it was time for him to get out. And he did. He sold the club, we tried to move it 3 times to Denver. He mentioned New Orleans, and Marvin Davis, a billionaire from Denver, wanted to buy the club and move it there. And I mean, I think I've told you, Chris, there was one time we opened the season in Anaheim, and Charlie Finley came in and said, don't rent apartments in Oakland because by the second homestand, you'll be playing in Denver. And that had been unprecedented, a move during the season after you start in one city. Wow. I mean, the Mariners, the Seattle Pilots moved to be the Milwaukee Brewers, and they did it with about 3 weeks left in spring training. That's as close as that's ever come. But, the club almost moved, and the Coliseum in the city of Oakland and County of Alameda had an ironclad lease on the A's, and they came close to letting them out so they could get money on a buyout, and then they could afford to do skyboxes here. And that's what Al Davis wanted, because in the skyboxes for football, you don't have to share that revenue.
Yes.
You just share the price of the ticket. So that's what Al Davis said. He thought he needed to compete with free agency on the horizon in the NFL. And they thought they could make that deal and keep the Raiders. And there were a couple of attorneys down in Oakland that sat out all weekend figuring a way out and figured out. And it's been written a long time ago that you could not directly appropriate that money that they would have got, which would have been $4 million from the buyout of the A's lease, and put it into the Coliseum. You could not directly do that. And that saved the A's for Oakland. Charlie Finley was smart enough. Hey, his cousin Carl said, let's hire Billy Martin. You won't have to pay him much because the Yankees are paying him. And let's instill some interest in the A's. And this is a young club that was coming up at the time with the Dwayne Murphys and those guys, and hired Billy, and all of a sudden it took off, and it made the Haas family in San Francisco realize that this is a treasure for not only Oakland and the East Bay, but all of Northern California. And so they got the interest and purchased the club, and the rest is history. We've been here since.
Wildest times in your tenure, which basically is all Oakland A's history, except this year. You won't be able to count this year. Yeah, you are. You're still around all that. Wildest times. Is it Billy Martin?
Probably.
Billy Ball.
Billy Ball. You know why? Because it saved baseball. We started winning in 1980 with Billy coming in, and like I said, we had a nucleus of a good young club, and people all of a sudden got interested. And after drawing like 310,000 in 1979,
310.
I mean, we used to do that in the homestand in the 80s, but. So we got some interest in there, and
it's like arena football.
Yeah, exactly. So in 1980, we drew like 800,000 or something, and that's when the interest of the Haas family, as I mentioned. But Billy, being an East Bay person, and I'd go out with Billy in the afternoon off season, and we'd stop here, stop there, and everybody loved Billy from his Oakland Oaks days, remembering him from his Yankee days as not only as a manager but as a player too. Yeah. So that was quite wild times because we were saved for Oakland. You know, I'm born and raised up the street here, and I felt great accomplishment and proud that this club was going to stay here.
Are you shocked? Maybe you are, maybe you aren't. That the club is still here, playing in the Oakland Coliseum, and it's 2022.
Well, if you take me back to 1977, 78, 79, yes. But when you see the success we had in the 80s, with attendance, the interest in the A's, that I am not shocked. I mean, this Vegas thing kind of wears on me. What are we going to do? I don't know. Something's got to be done here. But it's a tough call what we're going to do. We drew all those crowds in Oakland in the 80s, and I think people forget we were going against Candlestick Park. Coliseum was a better place to go to a game, easier to get to, more fun. The Giants had some bad ball clubs then. I'm talking about mid-'80s.
And literally the worst weather in the history of professional sports,
Yeah.
Candlestick Park.
You drive on 101, whether you're going north or south. As soon as you get to the fog, you go east, and there's Candlestick. So,
It's horrible.
but so we went against Candlestick Park and some bad Giant teams, and that really helped elevate us as far as interest and fan base and everything. But what's going on now, I don't know what's going to happen. I just hope it's for the best of the organization and we get back to competing all the time.
Money started getting big in baseball. I remember when Nolan Ryan was the first $1 million player, right? And you're like, wow, a guy's making $1 million a year. I'm assuming it was sometime in the 80s. You know, Ricky, Canseco, we start seeing that $3-4 million a year. When was the first time for you, because you're dealing with the players, wants, needs, dealing with them constantly. When did you start going, wow, these guys are really making some generational wealth?
When one of them would drop a paycheck and I'd pick it up and I say, God, you're only making that much. And it was clearing like $28,000 for 2 weeks. That's when it kind of hit me. But, you know, as part of the game, it evolved. I mean, we all started making more money too, because the players were making more money, and the ownerships were fun and took care of us. But the players making that much money, it's like they didn't go from 300,000 to $1 million. I mean, it was a gradual increase, so it wasn't that much of a shock. But I hear people now say, God, they're going to pay Trout $40 million a year. They're going to pay this guy that much. I said, when's the last time you saw a player put a gun to an owner's head and say, sign this? You know, they're not forcing them to pay him that much, but that's what the market bears, so they have to pay him.
And that's what I said last week on A's Cast Live. When was the trading deadline?
Second.
The second, August 2nd. It was Tuesday.
Tuesday. So I said this. I think it would have been Tuesday's show. I said, you know what the San Diego Padres did? The San Diego Padres just exposed everybody, because what the Padres showed is the money's there. If you're going to take on, even though they were able to get rid of Hosmer, but the fact you got Machado, Tatis, now Soto, and what he's going to get in arbitration, let alone if you get a big deal, it just shows even a small market team like the Padres, how much money they're getting. They're just willing to spend it.
Absolutely. Their ownership is pretty forceful that way by letting A.J. Preller go ahead and speak. And I think they're averaging 37,000 fans
That's
a game.
before Soto.
You're right.
Yeah.
So, like I said, no players put a gun to an owner's head before he signed that big contract.
No doubt about it. And it's going to be just to watch our game go. If there was something that, because people need to realize you were always in the dugout for all these games. If there's something that you could see, good, bad change, just a change as you as someone who loves watching the game and you've watched the game evolve, what change would you like to see in the game?
Well, that's a tough one. The big statistical thing, the knowledge that you get, you might as well use the stats if you've got them. So I have no bitch about positioning fielders in certain spots. I mean, I love seeing a ball hit, and I thought, oh, God, that's a base hit for somebody, and boom, there's a second baseman 10 feet behind second base, and he's turned into a normal ground out. So I don't know if positioning is something that they need to change or looking at. I've heard rumors are that no infielder can be on the outfield grass starting next year. I don't think that's come to full play yet. But as far as a change, I know we've got bigger clubs now. I mean, bigger rosters. Some of the new rules have just baffled me. I mean, not only be able to you have to face 3 hitters unless the inning is ended. So the rule changes, maybe they're good. I don't know. They haven't been proven to me yet. But the big change to me in my whole tenure has been uniforms.
Lots of uniforms.
Lots of uniforms. Some teams have 8, 9 different jerseys. It's unbelievable.
Lots of uniforms, lots of hats, lots of changes. Let's end on this, as obviously the big deal is tomorrow. Today, though, also a big deal, honoring Ray Fosse. You've known Ray Fosse for, my God, since the 70s. Very good friend of yours. Unfortunately, he is not here with us. Just what do you miss about Ray, and what's a great story you could give us on the way out about Ray?
You know, when we made the trade for Ray in the spring training of 73, we traded Dave Duncan and George Hendrick and got Ray. And at that time, there were 2 big league catchers that were well known. I mean, the best in the National League was Johnny Bench, and it was well known that the best in the American League was Ray Fosse, although Thurman Munson was evolving at the time. So he comes over, and I thought, God, this is really a nice fit for us, a nice piece. And being the nicest guy in the world, always want to interact with the clubhouse guys all over baseball. He didn't go up to the press box as soon as he got to the ballpark. He went to the clubhouse and talked to the visiting clubhouse guys, maybe the home clubhouse guys. His fairness to everybody in the game, including fans, I will never forget that. He was the most personable guy that there is. I mean, he loved the game. Nobody loved the Oakland A's more than me, except for maybe Ray Fosse.
One thing I like to tell people all the time, and what Ray Fosse meant to me in so many different ways, but just from a professional standpoint, when we launched A's Cast, there was a lot of people who were, what the hell is this, right? You remember when we launched it, they're like, what are we doing? Right? There's a lot of people who didn't believe, and they would lie to me and say, this is great, and then I'd hear what they were really saying, and I knew, and I've kept my mouth shut over the years now that we're the #1 podcast in all of Major League Baseball.
Those were all the old school people.
Yeah, they didn't. You know who loved it was Ray. Ray would come over hey, Townie, what do you say? He'd come over and he put his headphones on. And in the offseason, Ray Fosse every single week would come on for a half hour. Yeah. Ray loved A's Cast. He loved the idea. He'd be listening at home on the app. He loved it. He was the one guy who went, this is great. This is going to be great for the organization. While everybody else was like, oh, my God, what are they doing? Ray Fosse was the one that really backed us.
That's amazing. It's good to know that he was progressive. He understood that this is the way to go, and maybe it would extend his career a little bit too. I'm not saying that he did that in a selfish way, but he understood all the facets of broadcasting, of the media, and did a good job with it.
Well, how about this guy coming right here? Andrew Bailey's coming up here, a guy that obviously you knew for many years. That's an A's Hall of Famer right there.
Well, welcome to Vucinich.
Andrew Bailey here, Giants pitching coach, of course.
One of my favorite guys. I text him all the time, don't I?
Yeah, I can't follow this one. This is a tough act to follow.
You know, he's going into the A's Hall of Fame tomorrow.
Congratulations. I did not. Okay.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Very, very well deserved. That's
Thank
for
you.
sure.
Thank you.
Well, it's been a pleasure. By the way, are we going to have dry eyes tomorrow during the speech?
You know, you said that. I did pretty well last year on the
you choked up a little bit.
I don't remember that, but anyway, I hope not. Maybe I make 20,000 people cry. I don't know, but not me.
Be great stuff. Congratulations. If anybody earned it, it's you.
Thanks, Danny. Thanks, Cody.
Enjoy tomorrow.
Andrew,
Congrats.
good to see you.
Good to see you, man, always.
I mean, that's the one thing about, as we said, you'll always be our all-star. Coming back, I mean, that's the one thing. When you come back to Oakland, it's always coming back to family for you.
Generational.
Have a seat. Have a seat.
Absolutely. All right, but it's good seeing you, man. Yeah, no, I mean, wow, what a legend that guy is. Unbelievable
54
career.
4 years.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. It's beautiful. So started as a bat boy, correct?
Started doing that, and he started doing equipment. I mean,
Yep.
since he was like 16 years old, and we always joke with him that he never had a resume.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't have resumes when he started, but he never had a resume
Never.
his whole career, 54 years with the A's.
Yeah, absolutely. Built a ton of awesome relationships. Everyone around the league you talk to, Voos is number one. So it's awesome.
How have you been?
Yeah, doing good, man. Doing great. Enjoying my job, enjoying the team, enjoying the city. Bay Area is awesome, and always love coming back here for sure.
And obviously, the next 2 days, we're going to honor Ray Fosse today, who you know, and then we'll honor the new Hall of Famers tomorrow. Just there's something about it happens in all the 2-team markets, but especially in this one, when everybody gets together, it's just something special. A's, Giants, Bay Bridge series.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the rivalry with the fans is awesome. And then, just the working relationships of, kind of crossing paths has been awesome as well. And Ray was, man, he was amazing. So many great stories about him. And, obviously Vuce tomorrow as well. So it's a beautiful time to be here at the Oakland Coliseum.
Correct. Just call it the Oakland Coliseum.
All right.
There's wait. You don't
too many things.
You don't need to worry about that. The one thing about Ray that I don't think a lot of the fans know is that here's a guy who's a 2-time World Series champion and All-Star and everything. But how much he loved you, the players. Didn't matter what generation. He loved the players and always had your back.
Yeah, 100%. I remember talking to him countless times in his office down there by the weight room. And I lost my dad a few years ago, and with Ray, he got to know the families that were always around as well. I mean, he was so giving, always wanting to just chat it up, and my dad and him built a really cool relationship. My dad would bring him up dibs into the press box all the time during the games. And, it was awesome. And those are the type of memories that I remember outside of the baseball things, is just the relationship building, the respect he had for current players, former players, their families, what they go through on a daily basis, and just the bridges he built, amongst the families and players,
I think about this place for you. You starred here. I mean, you blew people away out on that mound. And I know when you get here and you got to get prepared, you got your staff, you got meetings, you got to deal with the catchers, pitchers, get everybody ready. But do you ever take time to sit back and look out and just kind of remember what you did on that mound?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, this place is always special to me, always will be. It was my first taste of the big leagues, and having success personally here was awesome. I always enjoy coming back here. Even my guys now give me a ton of crap for it, and they're like, "Oh, the house at Balesville." Just catching up with Selman on the line. He's like, "Every 5th day we see you on the leaderboard here with the Oakland A's saves leaders," and so I'm just blessed to be a part of this organization, this franchise, being drafted by them, and such a homegrown organization. Really, really awesome, and blessed to have my start here. I honestly don't think if I was in another organization, I would have had the opportunities I would have had.
That's interesting. And obviously the opportunity of baseball from a player has led to this. Last year when we talked to you, you guys were riding high, led to 107 victories. Far different story this year. Just how tough has it been this year versus what you saw last year?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think, hopefully I'll be in baseball for another 30 or 40 years, but I don't.
There's a good chance.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I would see another season like that. It's such a unicorn season. Everything went right. Everything, in-game players, health, a lot of things went right. And we hit all the right buttons. The players, the culture there was great. The culture's there great now, but baseball's such a funny game year to year. A lot of the same current roster, injuries, of course, running into some tough one-run games, and but we still believe in ourselves. I mean, we're not totally out of it. We know we got to get going here and get hot. We have we play all the teams in front of us still, and I mean, obviously post All-Star break has been tough. We ran a rough 8 games with the Dodgers, and but we got to get right, and we believe in ourselves. So outside playoff is, we're the chances to get there are still in our we still control that. And last season, man, it was like, that's why you take those seasons, like, you don't take them for granted. They don't come around too often. I don't think we'll ever be, the Dodgers, so to speak. I mean, they're obviously superstars up and down the lineup, and we believe in ourselves as a team and how we do things, and worked beautifully last year, and this year we just fell in some misfortune so far, but it doesn't mean it's over yet.
Knowing that we were going to have you on today, obviously A's fans love it. They get to see you, and you're always
we're on TV too.
Yeah,
huh?
yeah.
I didn't know that.
We've stepped our game up.
Wow,
over
look
there.
at this.
So the thing that I really wanted to ask you, because I don't know if you're going to know, but being a former bullpen guy, this is like the question that is so tough to answer for front office people, is because we're dealing with human beings. Yeah. We have these big bullpens, right?
Yeah.
One year you can have a bullpen that's absolutely lights out. We saw Blake Trinan have a Dennis Eckersley-like year. It was one of the great. He got MVP votes, and then the next year it's not the same. The bullpen's not the same. Why is it so hard year after year to have a consistent bullpen?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. I mean, you know, a lot of guys, what we preach is stick to your strengths, and they always do. And you look at Tyler Rogers with our team. I mean, 2 years he was one of the most dominant relievers in baseball. This year he's kind of going through a little bit. Doesn't mean that we've lost any confidence in him. It's just that balls are finding holes. You know, I mean, things happen like that, and you can't control the ball once it leaves your hand. And the baseball gods kind of speak differently. And I always joke with some of my front office friends, like if I signed a reliever, I'd always sign him to a 2-year deal because you're always going to get one good one and one bad one. You know, you never know which one's going to come first. You know, so if you sign him and he has a bad one first, then whatever. But yeah, you just don't know. It's hit or miss, and I mean that's why the good ones stay around for so long. The ones that are so consistent, it being in the bullpen, and it's so tough. I mean, you see the volatility of the roster management and construction from a bullpen. It's kind of that carousel effect. I know they've put limitations on there recently this season, but yeah, it's so hard to stabilize as a key bullpen piece. I mean, you have to be so consistent for years and years and years, and those guys play forever.
And it's driven me nuts for a long time that a lot of our great closers, they didn't get the love for the Hall of Fame, right? They made it seem like, those are not the hardest outs to get. And now we're looking at these bullpens. You're starting to realize, you know what Mariano Rivera did, what Trevor Hoffman did, Raleigh Fingers, Dennis Eckersley, yourself, all these guys, like Billy Wagner not being in the Hall of Fame is a joke. Should we now start to see and have more appreciation for the guys who were able to get saves and rack up those big save numbers all those years?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, as a former closer myself, I'm not one to believe that the highest leverage comes in the ninth. It's definitely different. Those 3 outs are definitely different over a long stretch of games. But I do believe that there isn't enough appreciation for the guys that have done it for such a long time. But yeah, I mean, Billy Wagner, please don't group me in those guys. I played half the time they did, but yeah, I mean, it's a tough inning. I mean, there's usually no one behind you. There's no safety net, and that's the scariest thing about the ninth inning is just there's no safety net, and you have to block that out and go get a job done. And typically there's no matchup. It's not matchup dependent left or right. You just got the ninth, right? And I think there's multiple ways to do it, and when bullpens are a little inconsistent, you try and match up a little bit more than say you just throw guys in the 8th or 9th.
I like to ask pitching coaches this because there's starting to be the death of the starting pitcher because the lack of the innings pitched, and we're relying more on bullpens than ever before. Are you worried about the lack of innings we're getting from starters around the entire game?
I think overall, no. I think your horses are still getting the job done. The 200 inning mark is a lot. I don't know how many you're going to see of those, but I mean, starting pitching is what wins, right? Anytime we have any one of our guys go 6, 7, 8 innings sometimes, those games are just like, oh man, that was a piece of cake. As a manager or as a pitching coach, you don't have decisions to make. But I understand the numbers behind things and the third time through, and the health risks and your investments there. So that's a tough question, but you're always going to have the guys that are just different. I don't think if you have a front end of a 1, 2, 3, like those guys are you're always going to want them to go. I think your 4s and 5s, it's a little different. It's the guys that you might have to protect a little bit third time through or match up, a little bit strongly, in the 5th or 6th inning. So those guys are just different. The front end horses are just different than the rest of the rotation. And that's a matter of fact. Those guys are just different.
Let's end on this. Are you thrilled now about the National League West? Now you got Juan Soto. Fernando Tatis Jr. is coming back. You got Machado. You got Mookie Betts. You got Freddie Freeman.
Yeah, absolutely.
You got a lot of talent in this division you got to worry about.
No doubt. I mean, we beat everyone last year. We beat the Dodgers last year. We won the division. Obviously this year it's going to be winning divisions can be really tough at the position we're in, but all you have to do is get into the dance, man. And we proved to them that we could beat them last year for their own brand of baseball. we worry about us and the way we do things. And, that's all we can control. So I don't think we need the quote unquote superstar talent that gets, marketed by MLB or social media or whatever. This year, all we need to do is get in a dance and we can win this thing. Next year, same thing. So I'm not too worried. I think we proved that we can handle ourselves last year.
We always appreciate your time, folks.
Awesome.
That's an A's All-Star right there coming back to
Thanks,
town.
guys.
We appreciate it. We got more coming up next right here on A's Cast Live.
The Coliseum has gone by many names, but none better than the Last Dive Bar. Hi, everyone. Ken Korak here, and my friends at Last Dive Bar are helping us celebrate our longtime home. Last Dive Bar has the most unique merchandise for all Oakland baseball fans. T-shirts, sweatshirts, the Ray Fosse line, and my personal favorite, the lights have taken full effect. Visit their website at lastdivebar.com or follow them on social media at Last Dive Bar. All proceeds are invested back into the A's Community Fund and their affiliated charities. Go to lastdivebar.com. That's lastdivebar.com.
Humanity has accomplished a whole lot so far. We created penicillin, the automobile, and the internet, not to mention drones, duct tape, and the hot dog. It's all thanks to the power of human connections. And Ring Central's here to make that even easier, more seamlessly and securely, on a platform built to grow your business. Say hello to a whole new way to say hello. Visit ringcentral.com and say hello to possibilities. Ring Central. Message, video, phone, together.
Unlock offers and receive exclusive in-game features by downloading the MLB Ballpark app for iPhone and Android today. Plus, get the latest information on game times, schedules, and more.
If you're looking for a new mattress, Nest Bedding has you covered. Sleep on the same mattress Hall of Famer Ricky Henderson sleeps on. Nest Bedding is a national brand with family-owned prices and service. You can shop at one of their Barrie locations, and all stores are sanitized and safe, or you can navigate their easy-to-use website, nestbedding.com. That's nestbedding.com. Green and Gold fans, use the coupon code Oakland and you'll get 10% off your entire order. Nest Bedding, love where you sleep.
Coming in at 5'3", it's #1 mom. She switched to Xfinity and got the all-new 3-for-1 bundle. Unlimited internet, streaming, and Xfinity Mobile. All for what you could pay wireless companies for just one 5G unlimited line. Boom shakalaka! Go to Xfinity.com/3-for-1, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit an Xfinity store today. Limited time offer, restrictions apply. Xfinity Mobile requires post-pay Xfinity internet. After 24 months, regular rates apply to all services and devices.
This is Chris Townsend for the Chicken Pie Shop of Walnut Creek. Great news! Our indoor dining is back, along with our beautiful patio dining. Come taste our world-famous chicken pie that has been served in Southern California for 83 years. The Chicken Pie Shop of Walnut Creek has one of the most dynamic menus, plus a full bar. Pot pies, gourmet burgers, sandwiches, salads, flatbreads, and more. Don't forget, we still do takeout and delivery. For all the information, go to chickenpieshopwc.com. That's chickenpieshopwc.com.
Innovation that's at the heart of Cal State East Bay, like at our Green Biome Institute, where faculty and students map genes from California's endangered plants. Or how we open doors for local entrepreneurs at our Small Business Development Center. From educators to nurses to STEM professionals, Cal State East Bay has real impact throughout the region's neighborhoods, boardrooms, and entire economy. Be part of the innovation. Connect with Cal State East Bay at csueastbay.edu/impact.
Hey, A's fans, you know that running your own business is a slugfest every day. That's why businesses have been counting on Mechanics Bank since 1905. From operating lines of credit to equipment and real estate loans, they can help build your lineup to meet today's challenges and prepare for tomorrow's opportunities. Stop by your local branch or visit mechanicsbank.com today. Mechanics Bank, the official East Bay Bank of the Oakland A's. Member FDIC and equal housing lender. All loans subject to program eligibility and credit approval.
A's fans, there is no better way to stay in touch with the A's and even our players than following us on social media. Just head over to athletics.com/social. That's athletics.com/social for a full list of our social coverage, from player accounts to Twitter handles and more. Now is the time to stay in touch. Head over to athletics.com/social. That's athletics.com/social today.
Some things just go together. Peanut butter and jelly, cookies and milk, Oakland and Kaiser Permanente. If that last one caught you off guard, it shouldn't, because Kaiser Permanente has been helping keep Oakland healthy since our very beginning. And as the official healthcare partner of the Oakland A's, that won't be changing anytime soon. Whatever you may need, you can trust Kaiser Permanente to help keep you feeling your best. Kaiser Permanente. Thrive. Visit kp.org today.
Hey, A's fans, we've got a great deal for you. Get 4 tickets and parking for all Friday night games starting at just $39. Pick from great matchups, post-game fireworks and drone shows, giveaways, and more.
Outside corner, ring him up. And Eaton can't believe it.
Grab the crew and head to the Coliseum with friends and family any Friday night this season. 4 tickets and parking starting at just $39 for the whole group. Tickets are available at athletics.com. That's athletics.com.
A's Cast Live continues from the town. Here's Chris Townsend.
Is baseball just so dramatically different than the other 4 major professional sports leagues? Because it's real easy when you look at an NFL team, right? You can immediately look at certain stats, and I can tell you why a team wins and why a team loses. You can just look right out of the gate. You know the answers, right? If you don't win the turnover battle, you got no shot. You know, there's certain things. If your offensive line gives up a ton of sacks, you got no shot. Like, there's just certain things that you can look at inside the game. Like, you don't even have to know the names on the backs of the jerseys. You can just look at certain stats and say, well, let's see, this is where they are in first downs. This is where they are in the turnover differential. This is where they're on just certain things. You go, that team has no chance of winning games. Simple. You can do the same thing in the NBA. Hockey, I'm not so sure. But basketball, same thing. You can look at. There's certain things you can look at. If teams don't do well, they are not going to win. Baseball, well, listen to what you just heard from Andrew Bailey, former Oakland Athletic, now turned pitching coach, all-star rookie of the year. Like, they're talking, what they're going to sell to us now, the San Francisco Giants, is just how odd the season has gone, right? It's going to be very, very odd. Why have we, I mean, this is literally a historic drop-off. Has there ever been a team, we've played over 150 years of baseball, have we ever seen a team win 107 games and then the next year, the great Dave Cavill walking by, have we ever seen a team then not be 500? Forget not make the playoffs. Okay, that's understandable. But a team go from winning 107 games, what are they at right now?
51 and 55. They have as many losses this year as they had all of last year.
Has that ever happened in 150 plus years of baseball? Has a team ever had a winning percentage like they did one year and the next year completely fall off like that?
The only team that comes to mind, but you actually can't say it because 2020 was a shortened year, but if you want to go from 19 to 21, I think the Twins didn't make the playoffs last year. But not a drop-off like this. The Twins won 100 games that year, but they weren't very good last year. I'm not including the 2020 year.
Well, then you can't include that. I'm talking year to year. You're having a team that won 107 games and a few months later get it going again, and they're terrible. And as you just heard Andrew Bailey say, hey, there's just a lot of things that haven't gone our way. I mean, there's some unlucky parts of this that you could throw, as he said, the ball leaves a pitcher's hand. He has no control anymore. So it's like it's a lot of things out of their control is the reason why they're not the same team. Whatever it is a historic drop-off that, of course, our media in the Bay Area is not going to cover and not going to harp on. I can tell you, having been over at NBC the last couple weeks and being around all the Giants people, they're still going to try and put lipstick on this. They're still going to try and cover this thing up. But what you're seeing right now behind us on YouTube and on Twitter is a dumpster fire. After 107 wins, when you're sitting there and you're talking about, oh my God, look how great the roster construction is. It's Moneyball 2.0, right? We're going to play all these splits, the way we're going to utilize our guys, the way Farhan built the roster and Gabe Kapler and the way they work together and how they utilize. How many times did we hear the line last year? Look how they utilize the roster on a day-to-day basis. I heard that over and over and over. They're brilliant with the way they use all their players. Look how many guys. Look at the pinch hits. Look at the pitch hit home runs. Look how they're putting all their players in a place to be successful. On and on and on, and how brilliant everybody was. Let's talk about the brilliance of the front office and the brilliance of the manager. A few months later, dumpster fire. Is everybody not so brilliant anymore?
Right now, they sit 7 games out of the wild card. They have a 3.2% chance of making the postseason, according to Fangraphs. And a note that I saw last week, I haven't followed them as much since last week, but Crawford, La Stella, Belt, and Longoria have all been in the same lineup 3 times so far this year. 3 times those guys have been in the lineup this year. La Stella, Crawford, Belt, and Longoria 3 times. Those are guys, and that's what happens when you have an infield of 33-plus-year-old guys you're trying to play every day when everyone else is going young.
And one of those guys is not in a contract year anymore.
Like Brandon Crawford, correct.
It's amazing what happens.
Brandon Belt is.
It's amazing what happens in contract years. Well, for them, a big question is going to be going forward. And whether the people who cover them have the cojones to actually really challenge Larry Bear, challenge Farhan. Hey, look, man, the people around you are all in. The LA Dodgers continue to be all in, and not only do they go surround themselves with quality players, but they go out and get stars. They go out and get the dudes, spend the money, and bring the people in. Now you got the Padres bringing in Soto. They've already put out the money in Machado. They put out the money in Fernando Tatis Jr.
Don't forget Bell and Hader, too. They got the best closer, arguably, too.
They're going out and getting people, and what's your answer to it?
Dixon, Machado.
Seriously, when you really look at it, what has been your long-term, what have you done? And you can forget from Brian Sabian to Farhan. What is this ownership group? And now Bobby Dean, and a lot of you don't know who Bobby Dean is, but Bobby Dean really is speaking for the ownership group right now, ever since Larry Bear's little mishap that he had that went public. But what is this ownership that's made all of this money? And they now have seen their attendance drop. They've seen their season ticket base drop. What are they doing for the sizzle on the steak? I haven't seen a big-time guy say, you know what, I want to play there, I'm going to sign there, and I want to be there long-term, and I want this to be my baseball home. They've missed out on everybody. So if you want to be a big-time player in your own division, because as great as 3 championships are, and they are great, we're now 2022, 2014. I saw Andres Torres. God, remember him? 2010.
Yeah.
I saw him the other day in the NBC studios. I'm like,
he does pre and post now, right? Or
that was a long time ago.
That's 12 years ago.
2010, 12, 14.
I was still in college.
There you go. So each year you start getting further away. Say the same thing about the A's. We can look at ourselves. 89. Hell, I was in high school in 1989.
I wasn't even a year old yet.
But if you're a team that claims it has the best ballpark, you got a great TV contract, you're making a ton of money, and this is the product you're putting out,
not good.
Last year you're selling how brilliant you were by playing all your players, and hey, we're using the splits and the data, and we're the way we're utilizing our roster and the data, we're as good or better than anybody else. Now you flopped. What are you going to do going forward? Because, hey, one of the things that does work in our game, unfortunately, we haven't seen, but stars sell.
Yeah.
You want to see the stars. You want to have primetime play. Who doesn't want to have I'll bring it back to you San Francisco people. You don't want to have Joe Montana, Jerry Rice?
Ronnie Lott, any of them?
You don't want to have Steph Curry, Klay Thompson? I mean, I'd like to have that for the A's.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that is. You just trying to tell me to get out of here? I'm ready to go.
Yeah, we got pregame.
I got pregame?
Yeah.
Well, I hope you enjoyed a special edition of A's Cast Live from the field on a Saturday before Game 1 of the Bay Bridge Series. Of course, we had the great Steve Vucinich going into A's Hall of Fame tomorrow. What a great class. We'll have also a special edition tomorrow going for you on A's Total Access. The Rookie of the Year and All-Star Andrew Bailey, now the Giants pitching coach, came over. And then, of course, we had the Mark Kotsay show for you. What are we playing next?
We're going to start. You'll hear a little bit of Last Call with Jess and Amelia before A's Total Access at 3:07.
Last Call next, then A's Total Access, brought to you by Chevron. Thank you for listening and watching A's Cast Live.
The Coliseum has gone by many